minute, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for John Hughes, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Kevin, along with my super friends, Ben.
Hey.
And Chad.
Yo.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. This week we're talking about the 1985 classic Weird Science, starring Anthony Michael Hall, Bill Paxton, Kelly LeBrock, Vernon Wells, and a whole host of wonderful actors. Folks, before we get into the mayhem, don't forget to follow us on social media. We use the handle @EBD Podcast on all social media platforms, so please come and join in on the conversation. Let's get to it. High level.
You guys love this one, hey? Was this a big repeat watch when you were young?
Anthem of my youth, no question about it.
Yeah?
Oh, God, undoubtedly, yeah. I think I was like 11 when this came out. So a little younger than the characters in the movie, but, you know, yeah, it was...
pretty close.
Yeah, definitely anthemic.
Anthemic, nice wording. Yeah, I was, 13 when this came out. I was pretty close to their age. This movie is, God, I've probably seen this movie like 1,000 times. I mean, I really didn't need to watch it, but I watched it anyway because it's so damn great. It's a different and very special kind of John Hughes movie. It kind of lives like, I don't know, outside of a lot of the other ones, you know, in terms of it being different. And I just love it. It's so funny. It's so weird. Pun intended. And it's
Whoa.
It's just great, you know? And all these like up and coming actors were so good in it. Just made it excellent. And it's really just you know, we've talked about nerd movies a bunch, and we talked about Real Genius, and we talked about sort of the nerd aspect of that movie. And this is very much a nerd movie as well. And this is a movie similar to Revenge of the Nerds, where the sort of the nerds triumph, you know, but they also go through a complete transformation. So it's very cool in that respect. And I think anybody that was in that space, you know, growing up in that time period, you know, definitely would connect with this movie in that way. I certainly did. So it was another reason why I loved it.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I definitely see the appeal. This was my first viewing of this movie, so it definitely was I don't know why I never saw it. I've known of it, and I kind of somewhat knew the premise of it, but just never got around to it, or I was a little young when it came out, so I think I just kind of missed the boat on it.
Definitely, dude. It's just pure timing, I think, for you.
But at the same time, like, you know, Breakfast Club and whatnot came out around the same time as this, and I definitely saw a lot of the other John Hughes stuff, and don't know why, considering I'm a sci-fi head. I never saw this one, but it was interesting to finally see it.
This movie actually came out the same year as The Breakfast Club. So it begs the question of why did it kind of get sidelined? And I think part of the answer is it got overshadowed by The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I can see that. I saw that it was his third movie in 15 months.
Exactly.
And he wrote this while on the set of The Breakfast Club in like 2 days, which is fucking bananas. But
I was reading about it as well, and his energy was really more focused on The Breakfast Club. The bit that I read was kind of like, you know, well, no, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not going to say that.
Just say it with confidence. It'll make it true.
Well, I know that he was really focused on The Breakfast Club. That's the movie he really wanted to make. You know, he liked this movie and wanted to make it, but The Breakfast Club was like the sort of the holy grail for him at the time. So I think his heart and his energy were more in that. And despite that, this still came out fantastic. And it totally holds up. Like, you know, that's what's – I love when we watch older movies and they hold up beautifully. And I think this is one of them.
Did you find that it held up any?
Yeah, I think it held up quite well.
Is this the kind of thing that you watch like every month, Kev, or when was the last time you guys saw this thing?
I would say it should be a couple of times a year watch. I probably haven't seen it in a couple of years. I bought this last year, on digital, and so I have seen it in the last year, but it had been since I watched it. So
Yeah, right.
I think I used to watch this every month when I was a kid.
Yeah, totally.
It was definitely like the I distinctly remember just quoting the shit out of this movie with all of my nerdy friends constantly.
all the time.
It was one of those. So it was just like, it was part of the zeitgeist, part of the lexicon of my tween years, I guess.
Being a nerd, dorky kid growing up, in the 80s, like it was watching Anthony Michael Hall, like, it's established from the beginning that they are, as he says in the opening scene, Gary, nobody likes us. Like, I think that right there resonated with so many people. And then to watch, the transformation and how Anthony Michael Hall kind of like really just took hold of it, was like, it was inspiring as a young nerdy dork, like I was always like, he's so cool.
Yeah.
As Elon Mitchell Smith said, it was a very different time in the 80s. It was not at all cool to be a nerd.
Right.
And, this was kind of another one of those awesome, I don't even know how to explain it.
Triumph.
Yeah, sure.
I hear what you're saying about the nerd stuff, but I kind of didn't get, like, obviously they're nerdy and obviously nobody likes them. And, one of the key nerd factors is the computer hacking the mainframe scene, which is pretty hilarious. But I didn't really get the, like, Revenge of the Nerd level nerd vibe. They're both kind of like geeky young kids, but they're, not like super nerded out headgear style pocket protector nerds. So it's tiny bit different, but not that different.
Well, it is different. I mean, Revenge of the Nerds is like slightly over the top nerd,
Yeah.
I mean, there were people like that in Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, no
that
doubt.
existed in reality, right? But like Ben said, like it was not cool to be a nerd. So I don't know. I think they probably, if I'm really, really analyzing this, they're really more like dorks.
Technically,
I guess the nerds per se, but it's all sort of the same category. Certainly, it was back then. I mean, we waxed about that in another show. Back in the day, it was like you were like a jock, a nerd, or a druggie, and the categories were broad.
Yeah, no doubt.
So they they encompassed a lot of different subtypes and subgenres of humans.
It was kind of you were either popular or totally unpopular. There was very little.
Pretty much. Or if you were a druggie, you were sort of like rebelling against all of that, and you didn't care.
Yep. This one for me reminds me of Blazing Saddles, where I had never really seen that until later. And so as far as Mel Brooks movies goes, like Spaceballs was my holy grail and like was infinitely quotable, etc. And I had a friend who was exactly the same about Blazing Saddles and didn't give two shits about Spaceballs. So I kind of feel like this kind of fits that bill for me, where I missed it so thoroughly that I'm like weirdly disconnected from it in a way. Like I enjoyed it for sure, but I definitely think the lack of nostalgia is an interesting to experience these kind of things for the first time now, You mentioned special. You were saying that this was special, Kev. Can you expand on that?
Well, yeah, it's very unique. Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. I think it is. It's special. I think it's a unique movie. I think the fact that John Hughes wrote it and directed it is part of why it's unique and special. It's also like that sort of dorky, nerdy teens, overcome, triumph, and end up being cool, which was sort of every nerd's dream, when you were, young and nerdy. So it's just the look of it, the comedy of it, the style of the way it was shot, structured, all of that stuff. Like, I don't know. I think that makes it kind of special. I've never really seen anything else like it. Like there was another movie that came out around the same time called My Science Project. And it wasn't, I thought it would be kind of like it, but it really wasn't. I don't know why I thought that, probably because I was young and stupid, but I don't know. It's just kind of unique. I've never really seen anything quite like it. It had an absurdity to it that was really made it different and cool and interesting. You know, just like
I can see that.
You know what I mean? There's like a magic sort of element to it. You know, like obviously they use technology to create the woman, but you know, there's some magic there too, and she has, you know, for all intents and purposes, superpowers, and she's able to manifest like virtually anything. So it's cool in that respect, like the party and like just the cleanup of the party and the car and the biker gang and all of that stuff, you know, like, you know, give it this like magical, there's a magical element there that it's just makes it different and cool.
Yeah, it's like take your, you know, your comedic John Hughes movie, but throw the wild card in of Lisa sort of being like a genie that, you know, like you said, can sort of conjure up anything. And it just adds an extra layer of absurdity to it that you typically don't see in a John Hughes movie. But it's like a good combo, I think. It's made for a really fun movie.
Yeah, it keeps it light. It keeps it light, which I think is important.
Yeah, I agreed. I agreed to both of you. I think it's, the lightness of it is great because it's just like you're floating on air and it's fun the whole time. It's like, and it moves at a delicious clip, right? So you're never bored. You know, it doesn't screw around and there's nothing missing, you know? So it's not like it's moving so fast. It's like, oh, well, what about this? And why didn't they explain all that? Like it was all perfectly parsed out, you know?
Yeah, I'll gripe a Kev you a little bit, and I'm very curious what happened to the...
Whoa! You're gonna gripe a Kev me?
Yeah, I'm very curious what happened to the grandparents. Was that resolved?
You may have something there.
Like, you know, it's definitely a gripe a Kev because who gives a shit? No, the movie is like, you know, all over the place. But
well, the style of the film makes it excusable that we don't know what happened to the grandparents. Like you could easily be like, that doesn't matter. It's weird science and everything's wacky. But you're right, dude. Are they still in the closet? I don't know.
The blue kitchen.
I could have sworn that there's like a quick blurb when, you know, when Wyatt's parents come home and like, you know, shit's going back into the chimney and like the house is rearranging itself. I could have sworn there's like a quick shot of the grandparents in the closet going like, what are we doing here? Like with no recollection of what, you know, how they got there.
Oh, really?
But I might be wrong about that.
I'm going to believe that. Yeah. I'm going to start a conspiracy theory that scene was there, but when they transferred it to HD, they cut it and now everyone's confused about it. That's what I think happened.
The Mandela effect.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's because people are getting woke about missing grandparents.
Yeah, fair enough.
Nothing. Thanks for laughing, Ben.
I feel like you're getting further and further into the matrix of like jokes, you know, like you did the Stansky and Hooch or whatever the fuck. And we were just like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, totally.
It's great. I like it. I like that you're trying it out here because if it doesn't work here, man, it's not going to work anywhere.
Anyway, it had a lightness to it. The other part of this movie, I think that makes it so great is that all of the elements are there and they're all firing on all thrusters. So it's like the music, the cinematography, the acting, the style of the movie, everything. It's all in sync. You know what I mean? We've watched other movies like this, but you know, there's plenty of movies that we do where it's like, well, this was great, but you know, that kind of thing. So there was like a really good synergy going on between everything that just makes it great. I mean, like the music is just incredible, you know?
Music's great.
Killer 80s soundtrack, you know, spearheaded by Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo. And then even the score that Ira Newborn did is awesome. Yeah, it's just cool. The effects are like good for a 1985 low budget movie.
All the furniture stuff was pretty well done, for sure.
Yeah, and like the cheesy lightning everywhere when something was like magically changing, you know, it was cool.
Did you see that blurb about when they were trying to do the missile coming through the house scene? Evidently, it was a really expensive scene to shoot, and Anthony Michael Hall ripped a fart right after they said action and totally just blew the whole scene. And like it cost $100,000. They had to end up like shooting it in reverse or something to save the money they just pissed away because he ripped a fart. I thought that was pretty funny.
Did you float an air biscuit?
He floated an air biscuit, exactly. There was definitely some really well put together silly slang like floating an air biscuit. I could totally see how this would have been ultimately quotable as a tween.
Oh, definitely, man. So many. I mean,
yeah, a second ago, Kev, you were talking about, you know, how well strung together it was and everything was good and this and that and the other, and how you didn't feel like it was like other movies we'd seen recently where it was like, it was all right, but this was good. And I kind of was in that camp a little bit, probably because of the like seeing it for the first time thing. So like I certainly enjoyed the movie, but I think because so many movies have done stuff based on it, or like there was nothing really novel about it, I kind of am looking at it through old man glasses and looking at it through like having seen 1,000 movie glasses. So I don't think it's a reasonable perspective, but you know, for me, the movie was like, it was entertaining and I could see why it's a cult classic, but like Paxton is the reason why it like sold for me. Like Paxton's character is so good in this that it really saved the experience for me.
I mean, I get it. You're the curmudgeon-y old man with the glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn bunch of damn kids. That's what you get for playing with damn computers.
I'm definitely out of line here, but like it's just because I hadn't seen it before.
Out of line? That's a little extreme, dude.
I think, you know, like it's
Ben, he's out of line. Go over there and punch him in the head.
I do. I think it's a bit much to like talk shit about a movie just because you never saw it. You know, it doesn't make it a bad movie. That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah, the other week in the green room when you mentioned that you hadn't seen it before, I was almost like, abort.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna
let's just not do it then. This is
well, we should have done it. We should do it 80s style. You take him out back and you kick his ass.
That's it.
You know, 3 o'clock high, man. Parking lot.
Near the bike racks.
Near the bike racks. There you go. In the smoking lounge.
But Paxton murdered this movie. It was just like, he was so good. And it wasn't a huge part, but it was a great part. And I love him.
Oh, Chet it's one of his most memorable roles for me.
Easily. I think Ben, it's part of, you know, like a trilogy or a quintilogy of memorable Paxton roles that are just so uniquely Paxton.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Like let's say this.
Aliens.
I should say absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Up until we started doing this show, I would say it would be this, Hudson from Aliens, and Simon from True Lies.
Definitely True Lies, yeah.
At the top of the list. After we started doing this show.
Twister? He's pretty good in Twister.
Yeah, he was good in Twister, but he just, you know, he's very funny in all those movies, and they're not all funny movies. You know, like Aliens is actually very intense and very serious, but those 3 movies, I think that's where you really get that uniquely Paxton kind of feel, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And then I would also, I would include post EBD universe, the radar operator from Commando.
Yeah, that was great. No doubt.
Only because it's just such a thing now.
I think for me too, though, like Predator 2 was like a staple in my youth, and he was pretty awesome in that too.
Oh shit! Yeah, totally. Okay, yeah, that would definitely be on the list for sure.
But I'm with you. I'm with you.
PR's my specialty.
Exactly. I'm totally with you in the terms of like the big swinging movies. Having not seen this, I totally see how this would have been one. Aliens for sure, and True Lies for sure.
Yeah, it's the training. You react in a microsecond. So good, man. So anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but Bill Paxton picked out his own haircut for this movie.
Hey, thanks, Sly.
Sly? You didn't have to come all the way over here to tell us that.
It's a bit early for nuggets, Sly.
Why were you gonna try to drop that one there, Chad?
Yeah, you sniping my nuggets, Sly? What the fuck, man?
Listen, C-Lab,
That's what fathers are for, Chad. That's what fathers are for.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough, Dad. Sorry.
Exactly. Firstly, C-Lab, he's your dad, okay?
Yeah.
So you can't question your dad.
All right, now here's the other thing fathers are for. Pull my finger.
Pops. No, I've got the little bitchy kid from Over the Top thing where I don't call him Dad, I call him Sly because we have an estranged relationship.
Or sir. Fair enough. I think, look, he's your dad, number one. And number two, he's Sly. He does not need to wait until the Nuggets section. He doesn't ask permission. He does.
That's true.
Period.
Hey, not for nothing, but if I wait for you guys to get to the nugget section, I could be here for a very long time.
That's true. Yeah, you got things to do. Places to go, people to see.
Indeed.
Love you, Pops.
Love you, Dad. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, buddy.
All right then. I'm not leaving, but okay.
Okay. Hey. Just gonna heavy breathe into the mic. No worries. I picture Sly staying on the horn, but like putting his hat forward and just kind of sleeping in the cab of his truck. He's calling in from his truck
With a match in his mouth, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
No, I actually, when you're doing that, I'm picturing Sly saying those things. That's how
Yeah.
good I think it's gotten. Yeah, no, for real.
I hope that's what everybody does.
Well, we can always hope that, but
I don't feel like that was particularly strong though.
I thought it was.
I've probably done better.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to drop an early nugget then, because my dad has inspired
Here we
me.
go. Bullshit's falling apart already. Go ahead.
I'm hoping that neither of you saw that John Hughes had a screenplay in the 90s where John Candy and Sly Stallone were meant to be playing feuding neighbors called Bartholomew
Oh my
versus Neff, and I would like to hear a little bit more about that movie from my dad.
I would like to see that movie.
I think John Candy versus Sly as angry neighbors would have been great. It's kind of got like the Jingle All the Way Arnie versus Phil Hartman thing going on.
Oh yeah.
I never thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
His cookies are so good.
Oh, these cookie Liz. So good.
Paxton.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get back on it.
Yeah, one of those quotables was, "How about a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray?"
No doubt.
You probably do that much better than I just did.
I used to be able to do it really good because I did it like for the entirety of my youth. Yeah. It's as if Hughes so perfectly captures the dickhead older brother in Chet. I mean, Hughes and Paxton so perfectly captured that. It's like every line was real and quotable, and they knew it. Like, if you think about it, almost everything that comes out of his mouth was something that we quoted, because it was so damn funny and so true.
You could take it a step further and really say that it was every action as well, like walking into the house with a shotgun and a pheasant. Like, this is so much good stuff there.
Oh my god, dude.
Like wearing the towel in the kitchen, and then he sees the panties, and he's like, "For Christ's sakes, would you cover yourself?" And he takes the towel off, and he's naked. The haircut, like the
haircut, dude.
Crack the egg on the ceiling. Now make yourself some, dickweed. Like my good friend, he had an older brother who, we were all friends, but
First, I'd like to butter your muffin.
that sounded like Bill Clinton, dude, which was actually pretty awesome.
That's often what happens.
It's okay. There's no rules here, bro.
That sounds like something Bill Clinton would say. So,
well, it does. And now I can't stop thinking about Bill Clinton playing Chet. So, yeah. How about a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray?
oh my god, this is way out there. But Bill Clinton shirtless and oiled up, playing the saxophone in Lost Boys.
Oh, wow, dude. Where did that come from? I don't care. I love it.
I don't know, because he plays the saxophone. I don't know. It just popped in there.
I still believe. Right?
Yeah. That's good.
Dude, Lost Boys would be a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Totally.
Push some room aside for that one. For Christ's sakes, cover yourself.
For Christ's sakes, would you cover yourself? This looks pretty good. Now make yourself some dickweed.
So Bill Paxton.
It's so good, man. Here you go. Listen.
Just waiting for a saxophone solo or something.
I don't hear
So
anything.
good. Oh, you didn't hear it? It didn't come down
No,
the
what
cans?
did you do?
Oh, I had it playing through my cans, and I just like put the cans up to the mic.
Nah,
I was playing "I Still Believe" by Tim Cappello
That's
from
the one.
Lost Boys. That's the
the
one.
one.
That's the one. That's my favorite one. My favorite performance, not being president.
That's my jam.
I loved being president, but what I really loved was playing sax in the Lost Boys.
Thanks, 42.
That's my jam.
God, how the hell did we get there? Oh, Paxton. Man,
Paxton.
Paxton is the cause of a lot of diversions in this show.
Yeah, they're good diversions.
I agree.
We just
Well,
need to
we'll find
land
out
this
in the
aircraft
editing.
now, Kev.
All right, let's land the aircraft now. I wanted to say, because this fits right in with what we're talking about, the opening line, the entrance of Chet into the movie. Like, we get the ramp up, like the boys are talking about Chet, and he's like, oh, my brother's coming home, blah, 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 and Gary kind of freaks out. The opening shot and the opening line are just set the stage for the rest of the film with Chet. And it's just perfect. You're stewed, buttwad! Like, what could be better than that, man?
Quintessential 80s and quintessential older brother.
Exactly. Older brother dickhead.
Your stewed buttwads was frequently quoted.
And is it stewed like a stew? Like beef and
Yeah.
Guinness stew?
Yeah.
He says you're stewed,
It's plausible, I guess.
which is a thing in Chet's world, apparently.
Apparently.
Well, maybe he said screwed, but it always sounded like stewed to me.
Maybe makes pheasant stew or something.
I'm pretty sure it's stewed. If it's not stewed and we both thought it was stewed, that would be weird, right?
I think it's stewed.
It would be weird, but it wouldn't be outside the realm,
That's true.
I'll buy that for $1.
It is stewed.
Oh, is that an ejection death, Benny?
I was telling a story while ejecting, so I don't know.
I don't know.
We're going to need a ruling here, folks.
I suppose I could have been. I could have given the story more attention if I weren't ejecting at the same time. But
Yeah, that's just a really classy, can pat your head and rub your tummy kind of ejection death.
I'll take it. I'm dead.
Done. You are done.
You die so rarely these days, man. We gotta keep you on your toes.
No, we got to take what we can get.
Occasionally, I gotta, LEEROY into the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that from entrance one, all the way through the movie, like almost every line Chet has it's perfect. It's such a perfectly crafted character, so perfectly acted by Paxton. It's no wonder that he became a well-respected and superstar of an actor.
Yeah, he's excellent. The haircut, the laugh. The laugh is unbelievable.
There's that one scene where it just like closes in on his face and he kind of like half burps and half just screws his face up. That was just kind of weird and perfect.
I'm looking at it right now.
There you go. I thought I was dead for a second there.
It is a bizarre face. It kind of looks like, the 2 weeks face from
2 weeks.
Total Recall when it gets all screwed up. Like,
Yes. 2 weeks.
it's how talented Paxton is. He can do that shit without animatronics.
That's how talented he is.
So good.
It's how talented he is, man.
In the spirit of honesty and love and nerdery, I was ejecting. I don't know what kind of death you would call this. I guess it was an ejection death. But when you were talking right there, Chad, and you were like, "Oh, I didn't know if anybody was listening," I was actually jamming out to "I Still Believe" by Tim Cappello. I'm sorry. Once we started talking about it, and I was picturing Bill Clinton, shirtless, greased, somehow with the gray hair, which isn't right. It should have not been his gray hair, but playing the sax, and I pulled up the tune.
It would be gray, but it would be like long, and it would have like the this sort of Jerry curl look going on.
I'm seeing it. Yeah, I'm picturing it.
Yeah.
Was it Jerry curls, or was it kind of like long braided dready kind of thing that was tied back or something? Maybe no.
Ooh, yeah.
A little fuzzy on that detail.
Some kind of a weird confusion going on here, but yeah.
Anyway, the song is so damn good that when we started talking about it, I pulled it up on YouTube, and I've had it running underneath, off and on. So, full disclosure, I'm dead.
Well, while Chad is telling that story and wondering if anybody was listening, we can put a little bed of that song playing with a bunch of reverb
there you
on
go.
it.
Just have it come in real softly.
That's going to be the track that ends the show as well. It has to.
I'm half tempted to start listening to the song myself.
See? It's so good, though, man. I mean, seriously, it's so damn good.
I'm going to hold off until the end.
You're going to hold off until your podcast is over?
Yes.
It should have been a death wish death.
Yeah.
Where Chad was like, I want you to die. Can you be dead?
I want to die.
It's my sacred Lochnar, and you can't have it. All right. Ah, so good.
So
just a little fun.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just going to add a fun fact. Tim Cappello, just so you know, is still touring around and playing, I still believe, with the sax, shaking his ass, the whole thing. People love him.
Now I do want you to die.
Save something for Lost Boys, Jesus.
You know what? We'll all forget, and the listeners will forget, and then we'll bring it up again.
Do it all over again.
How about the rest of the cast, man? Paxton's great, but there's some great little cameos.
There's nobody else. There's nobody else in the movie. It's just Paxton.
I was surprised to see Downey Jr. in this one too.
Oh man! So we talk about Downey Jr. now. This is like one of his first movies, man. You know,
he did a great job in it. He was kind of barely recognizable, honestly. I was like, that's Robert Downey Jr. And then like some close-ups, I was like, I don't know, is it? And then I was like, oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, he looked very much like he did in Back to School in this movie. Like he kind of inherited, kind of inhabited that Derek Lutz from Back to School.
Dude, I totally forgot he was in Back to School.
Oh my God, he's so great in Back to School. He
movie.
had all these, like people don't think about it or they don't remember. He had all these great little parts when he was starting out, and he was so memorable, man. Like when I think about Weird Science and Back to School, like he is absolutely imprinted into my brain.
Oh, you look like the poster child for birth control.
Exactly. Nice.
Yeah.
So he did. So just for reference, he did Weird Science in '85. That's when this came out, and then the very next year is when he did Back to School.
Yeah, right. Now the two of them played great jocks. What was the other dude? Max?
Yeah, but we call him Mad Max.
Oh yeah?
Well, yeah, that's what he says in the movie.
Oh really? I missed that. Yeah, that's a death. Speaking of Mad Max, dude, Vernon Wells was in this thing, hey?
Well, that's sort of the baked in nugget.
So good.
Yeah, Vernon Wells and Michael Berryman. Didn't we just bring the two of those actors up in a recent podcast?
They're becoming friends of the show.
I don't know why did I bring up Berryman before?
So
was it
I'm just going to stop you right there, Kev. You rarely need a reason to bring up people like Michael Berryman, so I don't know if you.
That's true.
You definitely everybody Kev's out on this stuff.
All right, you're right. It was Star Trek 4. Michael Berryman was in Star Trek 4, and also this movie.
Yeah, he had like the giant earlobes.
That's a death right there for me, because I mentioned that he was in this movie when we did Star Trek 4, which was just 2 weeks ago. So I really should just be taken out back.
You're dead.
Tied to a tree and shot. Pew, 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 pew.
While you write down your death, you could probably sneak in 10 or 15 seconds of that song.
Oh man,
I don't need to, Chad. It's playing right now.
Right now. I look forward to the 10 minutes of bleed.
I still believe. How about a duet? Tim Cappello and Bill Clinton together, both with saxes, alternating, like
The
dueling saxes.
Yeah, man.
I don't know, man. That might be like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters.
It might be.
The universe might implode.
I think it would be hysterically funny to like see them on stage with like fire and shit everywhere and vampires and like there's Tim Cappello and he's like, I still believe. And then Bill Clinton comes up for the next one. He's like, I still believe.
This is quite a runway on that joke, bro.
Was there a little runway on that?
Yeah, I like it. You really just,
Is that a death too? Are we going to just record record
picture
numbers of deaths?
Full fucking implosion.
What have I done?
Right?
I've broken the podcast.
That's it.
Oh, man. Okay.
One bad Paxton impression, and all of a sudden, the whole thing goes off the rails.
Really? It's your, I'm going to just give you a death for that. Broke the whole damn show, son bitch.
Well, while we're killing Benny, I'm going to take this opportunity to mention that I found out that Anthony Michael Hall is in The Dark Knight, and that was great.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I just never picked up on it.
Yeah, he plays the news guy.
That's it.
Well, should we finish Downey Jr.? Are we done with Downey Jr.? Or should we ready to move on to?
I'm so done with Downey Jr.
So done with him. So sick of talking about him. Iron Man, whatever. Some lame.
He's great. What else is there to say?
He's awesome.
Oh, you want to rattle off a few of his movies? Come on, go for it.
No. We don't need to do that. We already talked about Back to School. I mean, he's in so many movies, and his life. You could make a great movie about his life from the beginning of his acting career. He had a lot of ups and downs. Let's talk about Anthony Michael Hall. The Dark Knight. Boom.
Let's. Batman movie, Benny's favorite. I never really knew this kid for anything other than Breakfast Club. Between that and this, was it like the kind of main stuff you guys knew him from? I just wasn't aware of him.
This is what I knew him from. Right, Ben? I mean, like, this is the first stuff he did. He also did Saturday Night Live. Him and Downey Jr. did Saturday Night Live in '85.
Did you see any of that?
Yeah, I used to watch it, man, because I watched Saturday Night Live in the '80s. In fact, my favorite cast was like I think it was '86 with Chris Guest and Harry Shearer. That was my absolute favorite. Or maybe
it says he was in Scissorhands, which I don't recall, but I need to check that out again.
Yeah, he had a small part as like the, sort of like the cool kid who was like, "You're a freak."
Was it Winona's boyfriend in that?
Yeah. Did you like my cold read right there? That was pretty.
That was good, man. It was perfect. I'm surprised you didn't get that part.
Cut that and put that in the movie. It was better than Anthony Michael Hall.
We don't even need to do Scissorhands now. That was it. Oh yes.
God, glaring. Well, it's interesting. Not really. I guess this is somewhat.
I'll take a death for not remembering that one, man.
I remembered it. I was just sort of waiting to bring it up. If you want to die, though, it's up to you.
Well, I want to die.
Done. I want to die, and I want to believe. I still believe. Crappy Bill Clinton impression. So funny, though, that anytime his name gets brought up in a conversation, people start doing Bill Clinton impressions. Like I was listening to a Rogan episode last week, and Clinton's name came up like haphazardly, and everybody just started going, I still believe.
It's got to be done. I was doing Bill Murray from Tenenbaums, but that's okay.
Anthony Michael Hall, he was on fire in the 80s. Like he played in 83, he played Rusty. And then he got this, and he was offered the role, obviously, for European Vacation. And he turned it down. I mean, it was so weird because all these movies were made by John Hughes. So, he got into Weird Science, and then John offered him the role of Brian in The Breakfast Club, so he turned down the role of Rusty in the sequel to Vacation. And that is what sort of started the tradition of the actors always being different in Vacation.
That's wild.
Considering that he was kind of Hughes' golden boy at the time, him and Molly Ringwald, I think, really were like his golden children, It's often said that Molly Ringwald was his muse, but why he wouldn't have just waited to put him in European Vacation, like just change the shooting schedule or something. I don't know, man. Like that's It seems odd, you know, because he basically started in Weird Science and this, and then Breakfast Club, both same year, and then European Vacation came out, like, I think the next year. Anything else? Are you guys, like, looking up shit on the internet?
No, I get nothing to say. Yeah. It does seem a bit weird that the dude couldn't reschedule his own fucking movies for his other movies, but I don't know. I mean, he made the right call of not doing the Griswold Kid and doing Weird Science. I reckon that definitely would have helped him.
Well, I think popularity-wise, it was probably Vacation, man, but I could be wrong. Because the Breakfast Club, he kind of gets overshadowed by Judd Nelson, who pretty much steals the show in that, you know. Breakfast Club is Judd Nelson and Vernon. They steal the show.
Vernon Wells?
Whoa. No, Mr. Vernon, the principal.
I know. I'm just kidding. It'd be funny if it was Vernon Wells.
That would have been so weird, right?
This is like the janitor or something?
No, as the principal.
With the mohawk.
Totally.
Some clown makeup and a sort of line across his nose. And yeah.
I could see it.
Football shoulder pads, you know.
Oh, sorry. Paul Gleason played Principal Vernon.
That sounded like an ejection,
also,
Kev.
Not really.
Didn't he play Captain Pike in Star Wars?
Oh, totally.
Well,
yeah.
he did. Mm-hmm. He did play Captain Pike. He also played Dwayne T. Robinson, the deputy chief in Die Hard.
Yes, he did.
No, Chad, that was memory. That was all from memory, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of those clickety-clackety memories.
Yeah, no. I think, I think you guys were ejecting a minute ago, and you were like, "Oh no, I'm just chilling, man. I'm gonna be honest and give myself the
just
death.
waiting for you to finish."
I wasn't saying anything.
No, I know. I'm just fucking with you. What about Kelly LeBrock? Was she in anything else? She was an interesting casting.
Steven Seagal.
Whoa! You brought her up in the Seagal movie, didn't you? I didn't make the connection.
Well, she married him after they did Hard to Kill.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Oh.
What?
You mean Hard to Fill?
Oof, wow.
Snap.
I don't know where to put that. It's great.
I just, like, she seems, you know, like a pretty switched on lady, but anyone who chooses to marry Seagal, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I could see that decision at the time, the logic at the time. I mean, it's not like they're still married, you know. This movie totally skyrocketed her to fame, certainly in the 12 to 17 crowd.
No doubt about that, yeah.
I mean, aside from Hard to Kill, I don't
think she did much after that.
The Woman in Red, that was actually the year before this. Well, she was a model, too. That's the thing. That was really her bag, I think, was that she was a model more than anything, you know? Because her filmography is like Woman in Red, Weird Science, Hard to Kill. That's 84 to 90. That's 3 movies.
Mm-hmm. Was she like Vogue model or something?
Or something.
Yeah. When she was 16, she started as a model. I guess she's from New York. And then that was her thing. She was a top model for a while in the late 70s, early 80s. And then she did Weird Science. And I believe she was 23 at the time.
She was pretty charming. The three of them had good chemistry, I thought.
Great chemistry. I don't know. I think she was fantastic, you know, and
she's great, man.
Right? I mean, there's so many times when you see like a model or a non-actor kind of come in and do it wrong, but we've seen it right many times too. And this is one of those times where it's just so right. I mean, she's fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic. She totally just inhabits the role, the space, the character. Inhabits the role, the space, the character.
She's so funny when she meets Gary's parents.
Yeah.
Don't threaten me, Al. You're out of shape. I'll kick your ass. That's like one of those quotable lines from this movie.
Yeah.
She's so good, man.
Lucy, get my gun.
I definitely think the movie would have fallen apart if that initial making her dumb thing had happened and they hadn't fed Einstein's picture into the computer for whatever reason that made her really smart. But I like how it would have been atrocious, hardcore she was, and just didn't put up with any bullshit. But if she was a bimbo character, it would not have worked.
No, it wouldn't have worked. But I mean, the beauty of it was, the other cool part of it too was that she was already kind of popular as a model. So for them to have that picture and feed it in is not like any kind of a stretch at all. You know what I mean?
Gotcha, yeah.
Just kind of a cool little sidebar.
I definitely liked the bleep bloop that made that made her when they're dialing into the mainframe and like, you know, phoning into NORAD and then going through these weird fucking hacking the Matrix tunnels and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Just from a nostalgia point in technology, you know, like watching them do that and then seeing the guy in the military installation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, kind of snap to, and then it's like you got all the big reels start going, and he's on that like archaic terminal, like literally physically finding him and blocking him. You know what I mean?
And then it cuts to like a popcorn machine blowing up, and then it's like an alarm bell exploding. It's just really I loved it. It just was so tongue in cheek.
Jesus. Well, that's not really relevant.
What?
Nothing. I was going to say something, but it's just going to steer us off course. So,
Right. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
I will. Red 5.
Yo, Red Sly here. Stay on target.
Red Sly.
Red Sly standing by.
That was so great, dude. Because when you did it originally, it was Rocky 5 standing by.
That's right.
I love that you just said Red Sly. Almost like it should be different every time.
Yeah, I like the idea that Sly just makes up his call sign on the spot every time he checks in.
Exactly. So, Kelly LeBrock, let's talk about, you want to talk about Elon Mitchell?
Yeah, man.
What else did he do? He didn't really do much.
Nothing. He became a ballet dancer and then is now like a professor of medieval history or something.
That is true.
UC Davis, wow. Medieval Studies. Oh, sorry, he's at Cal State in Long Beach.
Of course.
From UC Davis. Of course, right.
Wow, Jesus.
Well, that's pretty impressive, though, man. You know, he's got a PhD from Texas A&M and an MA from Fordham in medieval studies. It's pretty wild. What's so funny?
It is impressive. It is impressive. I just like it. I like they were digging deep into this kid. I like it. I don't know. Just caught me in the right way.
I don't know what else. Hey, you brought it up. I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
What? You did. You both said, like, oh, yeah, he's a professor of medieval studies. And then I was like, oh, yeah, he got his PhD. And you guys were like, tee-hee-hee. Oh, my God.
He was pretty good in this.
I mean, evidently he's a bit of a nerd in real life, you know.
Clearly.
Oh, really? I never would have thought that.
Never would have guessed in 1,000 years.
Not with a medieval studies PhD.
I was not that I could recall anything offhand, but I was kind of surprised to see that he didn't go on to do much else.
Yeah, you would have thought he would have gotten some
this.
gigs, but
I mean, he did a couple of things. He had an episode on The Equalizer, which was awesome.
yo, was one of the dudes in the bar the guy from Ice Pirates?
Negative.
He looked a lot like him.
He did. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, he did. Looked just like him almost. But he was like bigger and beefier. The guy that puts his hand on his shoulder when the other guy offers him the drink.
I think so, yeah.
Like Vernon Wells, like we love Vernon Wells, right? He keeps coming up. He keeps popping up in the movies we do. He keeps coming up in the conversations. And I don't know. It's interesting to me that he's wearing almost the exact same gear that he wore for the Road Warrior in this movie. Like, it's almost like he just walked off one set and walked on to the other.
They must have just been like, can you do what you did there kind of thing. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Well, I'm sure. He did Mad Max, or he did the Road Warrior in 81, and this was 85, and Road Warrior was his first film, and this was his second. So he wasn't probably in a position to say no.
Yeah. It's like John Hughes saw it was like, what could we do here? It's like, what about just doing the Road Warrior thing? Like, we'll see if we'll get that dude.
Yeah.
And in a way, like, it might have kickstarted him getting more gigs, you know?
I think it did. It must have. Because then he did Commando, Oingo, like all those.
It's almost like a cameo in a movie from a character from another movie.
Exactly.
Which doesn't happen very often.
Well, I know, but it was cool in that, you know, it kind of fit with the whole, like, the teen dork kind of fantasy of like, I mean, because that's what this movie is, right? I mean, we talked about this in the beginning. Like, this is the movie where it's like you're a nerd and it's like you have this dream, this fantasy of how you like rise up and triumph and become cool. Like, there were so many people that thought about that, in that time period. I was certainly one of them, and probably still today too, maybe, although times have changed a little bit. So I think that, it fits with that, it's like, because Road Warrior and Mad Max are like, they're nerdy sci-fi movies that, dorks would watch. And it's like to kind of pluck that out of your brain and like make that a reality to help you become this confident, cool dude, I think it's fitting, and it also fits with the weird tone of the movie that's kind of like anything goes because it has that magical element,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the scenario that Lisa sets up for the boys to, sort of put them to the test or to, spark their evolution as, men or whatever. But I love that, like, basically they just call them out and, like, immediately they're just like, oh, we're so sorry.
Oh, sorry with that.
Right, like Michael Berryman's like, oh, could you not mention this? I don't want to lose my day job as a teacher or whatever the hell he says. But
And the other dude, is half of his face is metal. It's like, oh yeah, we should grab coffee sometime or something.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, but it's funny.
That's what makes it so great and so memorable is just how like you're totally switching energy and switching gears like at the drop of a hat. You know what I mean? So it's like, the situation changes and then they're like, oh, like even the chick with the leash is like, you have a very lovely home, and they all just walk out. And the speech that he says to him, it's kind of iconic, when he starts lowering the gun down and then he grabs it and sticks the .357 squirt gun in his face,
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to apologize to all these people, and then you're going to take you and your smelly friends, and you're going to get out of my house. It was great. I was like, oh, my God, it's so cool. I remember watching that and being like, dude, so cool. No, for real, man.
No, I know.
I think,
I know.
like, again, like, as a dork, like, that was sort of the ultimate thing, and you'd be like, man, I wish zombie mutant bikers would come to my house so I could do that, so I could be cool.
Yeah, I being that I had only seen this the one time, I was watching the opening of it a little bit earlier, and I didn't realize just how much they gave away in that opening scene in the gym where they basically said the plot of the movie. We're gonna go out in the town, get some drinks, have a party, all the girls will be there. And that's exactly what ended up happening. So clearly, like, the Lisa character digs into their brains, just like you said, and pulls stuff out and makes it happen.
Yeah, I had the same thought because I started rewatching it this morning as well. I was like, how about that?
And the only reason that she ended up, pulling Mad Max dudes out of their heads is because they were just being such jackasses about it and not, rising to any occasion whatsoever. So she's like, fine, I'll just, make some weird Amazonian fucking post-apocalyptic people ride motorcycles to your house then,
Yeah, it's perfect. I don't know. Vernon Wells is he's a very memorable guy, man. Bennett, this, Road Warrior, like he just, especially when he was younger, he just had that crazy kind of look, those eyes, man,
Yeah.
So it sticks in your brain.
He definitely seemed wild.
Him and Berryman too, really. Yeah. So just rounding out the cast, I mean, everybody's great. I always bring up John Cappello, and you guys are always like making fun of me, but I love John Cappello.
Sure.
And he's been in a lot of stuff that we've done. He played Jack Ruby in Umbrella Academy Season 2, and he had that bit in The Expanse and all that sort of stuff. He also plays the janitor in The Breakfast Club. Brian's, quote, dad. Oh, does your dad work here? So great to see him playing this sort of Greek, because he is Greek, kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, pimp, dirtbag. I mean, look at the hat he was wearing, that maroon, wide-brimmed sort of zoot suit hat with the long zoot feather coming out of it.
That was such a weird scene, man.
Oh, man. Should we talk about the candy bar scene for a second?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I was watching it again this morning. I was, what is this about? Because like the mutant bikers are all about them getting confidence. Like, I'm sort of trying to high level this. I mean, the scene's hysterically funny, man. Anthony Michael Hall is so funny in this scene. Everything about it is great. but I didn't get like thematically what it was about. Or I just was thinking about that this morning.
That was like her first run. It was Lisa's first run at, trying to get those guys to man up a little bit, which obviously kind of backfired. But
well, yes and no. I mean, they got disgustingly drunk, and all the bar patrons loved them by the end. So maybe it did succeed in a sense.
Just kind of popping their social cherries a little bit, getting them out there and forcing them to interact.
Kind of like a break-in, because she says at the beginning, like, I love when she hands them the IDs, and you can see the little magical electricity changes their IDs, and she's like, you're 21, and she's like, or we can just bring all these people back to your house and we can mingle there.
Changes their dorky suits to arguably dorkier Chess King suits.
You know what gets me every time I watch this movie is right before the suits change as they walk out of the room, when they're sitting in the red golf / country club jacket, and they just look horrible. I always think that Anthony Michael Hall has a cocktail, and then when he goes to take a sip, you can see that it's a juice box. It's so funny, man.
Smashes some apple juice, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the little details like that. I mean, that's another thing that I think makes this movie great is that, Hughes, he doesn't leave out little details like that, It's like the teacher in Ferris Bueller. It was Ben Stein. Something economics. Everybody remembers Ben Stein from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's such a small, inconsequential thing, and he packs his movies full of those little details because he remembers them all from growing up, And I just think it's great. I think it just, we've talked about this idea in other movies, I mean, it's not a mystery, but it's like the more detail you populate your microcosm with, your film with, your book with, whatever it is, the better it's going to be. The more people are going to get into it. It's like Blade Runner. Anything by Guillermo del Toro is like that. It's just detail, layers of detail. And you find that in this movie too. It's like there's not much you can find that's not there. The stone is painted all the way around the rock.
It's very zen. I kind of like that there's a little mini cinematic universe here with Shermer High and the name of the town and all that stuff. So
totally, man. And he also references his Canadian girlfriend in this one, as he does in Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
That girl with those big titties. On the telephone?
I guess that the candy bar scene came from their appreciation for Richard Pryor. Anthony Michael Hall and John Hughes were really into some Pryor stuff, and they just wanted an excuse to recreate one of the characters that Pryor used to always bring out in his bits. So that was kind of helped me be like, okay, yeah, cool, because it was just like, all right, dude, he's landing on pretty thick there, but...
Well, is that what he was doing? So it was Anthony Michael Hall doing a Pryor character?
Yeah, there's a character that Pryor did called something Mud, and I think that they both loved the bit and they wanted to incorporate it.
Mudbone.
Oh, yeah, Mudbone, right.
Yeah.
That was always one of the funniest things to me as a kid. I mean, my God, dude, I used to do that impression constantly, man. The Anthony Michael Hall all blown out on a bottle of bourbon, It's just, it's so damn funny.
You know who would have fit right in there is Bruno doing his Philadelphia bar.
Hey, me fellas.
Hey, Phil. How you guys doing? Jazz class.
Oh,
blues
that
class.
one?
Repeat after me. Seagram's. Golden.
Dude, can you imagine that if they just you could splice the scene in, Chad.
You could totally splice it in, yeah. No
You
doubt.
could totally splice it in. So you could just do I don't know exactly how you do it technically, but if you could just do it where you either pan over or you just cut to it, and it was they're in the same bar.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the back of the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about Mr. Seagram. Or whatever it is. I don't even remember what it was.
Hey, about Mr. Seagram.
Sound like my kind of guy,
I kind of feel like Sully could have been there from Commando, in his Chess King suit as well.
Yeah.
He totally could have, man. I thought you were going to say Sully from Monsters, Inc.
I'm just in here to look for some slit.
Mike Wazowski.
Oh.
Whatever the hell he says.
Slash. Used to be a good place for hunting slash, man. Ugh, so gross. I could see, okay, that bar in Commando is essentially the candy bar. I mean, let's be real. It's close. It's like maybe a notch above the candy bar.
Maybe, yeah.
Or, okay, fair enough. You may be right, Ben, but I could certainly see Sully in his, I love you're so into those suits, man. I love Sully could totally roll into the candy bar after coming from the mall and say that, and it would fit perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No doubt.
Perfectly, yeah.
Like he got dropped off the cliff by Matrix, but he survived. And then he made his way to Shermer, Illinois, and went to the candy bar.
Mm-hmm. Got his bourbon on.
Maybe. I don't know. Could be a death. I'll take a death.
No, I'm down, man.
All right, okay. As long as you're down.
These boys have excellent taste in fashion.
I like how his bar buddies ended up coming to the party, which was like so unrealistic but hilarious, and like shot Downey Jr. down at the bar.
That's what I loved about it, was that they came to the party and they were his posse. You know what I mean? Like he had indoctrinated himself doing the kind of the white teenage mudbone kid thing, right? And then they came to the party to they were his boys, man. Like, you know, they were loyal to him like Lisa was, you know. It was cool. And that is a great line, and the one you just referenced is a great part. I love that bit.
It sounds like we're into the bits and bobs.
Yeah, we're kind of getting into bits and bobs. I just, I don't know, it's somewhat of a nugget, but I'm going to say it anyway because it fits in with the cast, is Suzanne Snyder, who played Deb, I think, right? The blonde?
Mm-hmm.
Is super fox. And I was just so had a crush on her when I was a kid when I saw this, man. And then I never really seemingly saw her in anything else, but I did. I just didn't know it. She's done work ever since she did Weird Science. And the most notable thing, which you will definitely know, Chad, is she played Poppy's daughter on Seinfeld, who Jerry dates.
Oh, yeah.
And when they go to Poppy's and he sees him not washing his hand, that's Suzanne Snyder.
That's crazy.
And I never put it together because her hair in the Seinfeld episode, it's shorter and it's darker. But that's her.
Because I looked her up, too, because I was like, I know her from something. And then she was in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So I knew her from that. But that's awesome that she was Poppy.
Bits and bobs.
Bits and bobs.
We've already dropped a lot of bits, a lot of bobs, and a lot of nuggets.
The party scene we didn't really get into. I think it's a great, like the simplicity of the plots in John Hughes movies, even though there's like some silliness sprinkled throughout. I just like it's nerdy guys who want to become popular, and then there's like the American high school party scene that makes them popular. And on its own, that'd be fine and like interesting and charming, but like the fucking kitchen turns blue and like the random girl playing the piano falls through the chimney and has her top ripped off. Like there's just so much ridiculous stuff in that sequence.
I love the absurdity of it.
It's quite fun. Even like the two of them hanging out in the bathroom and the kid takes a huge shit and then the two girls come up. Like it's super dumb, but super funny.
Yeah. The whole bathroom scene is just, it's, you know, from Wyatt answering the door being like, oh, Gary's taking a shit. And like, it just quickly, like, he puts his head back into the bathroom. You just see him get slapped wicked hard. And then it goes back to, like, him talking to the girls. Like, you know, they're just, there's, like, the girls come in, like, they're just both sitting there, like, jingling change in their pockets, like, awkwardly. Totally. And, you know, that little, like, session they have in the shower, like, they go into the shower and they're talking about, like, how they're going to score. And they're, like,
mouth
focusing
close-ups
on their mouths, like, back and forth. It's just, like, there's so much gold just in that bathroom scene.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of, like, I mean, that perfectly illustrates what I was talking about before, Ben. Just the style and the look of the movie. Because the movie is like that throughout the whole thing. There's just weird, you know, odd little, you know, bits like that. The change, the close-ups on the mouth, the quick slap, like, all that stuff, man. It's just
little details.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me a little bit of a Scott Pilgrim vibe. Like Scott Pilgrim could have lifted the snappiness of that scene because there's a fair bit of that in that as well.
And Parker Lewis, I think, too, the TV show kind of was influenced by this as well, maybe in many ways, you know, because they did a lot of that quick cut, you know, quick takes, sound effects, whooshes, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's even like some of that in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I need to watch that again, dude. It's been so long. It's one of my favorites.
Same. It's like another example of that, Ben, is like just you hear the doorbell ring. It's all quiet. They're walking through the house. They open the door, and the entire crowd of people is standing outside. And they all say in unison, "Hi." And then they come inside, and we get that great shot from the end of the banquet table. And it's just filled with the most gorgeous spread of food. And it's like a couple of people like obscure the table from the camera for like 2 seconds, and then the table's empty. Like, I love that sort of stuff.
Super
it
80s.
had it's super 80s. I mean, to me, it always had a very cartoon quality to it that I loved, It was like sort of a way to bring animation to life, or certainly the cartoons that we watched as a kid, and kind of put them in a live action film. Like, that's how I always pictured that stuff. And I always loved stuff like that. And that includes like the mouth conversation and the slap, the quick slap, like all that stuff had a very cartoonish kind of feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing I wanted to bring up too that I think, apply, is sort of, you can sort of lump in with this, is just the movie. Like, Hughes is so good at playing with tropes and archetypes, right? Archetypes, rather. So, like, Chet is like the dickhead older brother archetype. The grandparents are like the ultimate stuffy grandparents archetype. Like,
we don't stand for baloney.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of nails it. I mean, look, we're talking about white middle-class suburbia. So as far as those tropes and archetype goes, he nails them all. Not everybody in the world, obviously, but for that realm, he nails it. No question about it. The grandparents are just, that whole scene is so great, and it's so easy to miss, like the baloney dude. And the other scene, he's like, well, there's nothing a young teenage boy loves more than a visit from his grandparents. It's like, oh my God, such a nightmare. Your grandparents are awkward. You're awkward. It's like, no, I don't want to see you.
Totally. And it's great, though, because Wyatt being a rich kid, I think, really adds a lot to this, too. Even in the opening scene where he's like, the maid's not coming till Friday or whatever, So the super rich, stuffy country club grandparents were great.
Oh, man, they were fantastic.
And I loved Paxton, too, when he, like, opens the cabinet. He's like, hey, Grammy, hey, Pop-Pop, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
You tell us why our grandparents are catatonic in a closet?
Yeah, it's a good segue into that scene, too, because that scene was pretty funny, man. I saw a little bit of trivia that was Anthony Michael Hall and Suzanne Snyder were trying to hold it together for that. So, like, I went back and looked at it, and they're, like, cracking up, like, breaking character, which was quite funny.
Yeah, and he purposely chose to keep that cut in the scene, that take in the movie, which I thought was cool, too. I read the same thing.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I think that scene for me was just another example of Chet just fucking laying it down and really, really helped sell the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Drill sergeant screaming in their faces while they're lined up.
Yeah, it did. And that's where he gets his comeuppance, right? That's where she turns him into like I don't even know. What does she turn him into?
Like a poop emoji or something?
I thought it was a giant.
I always thought of it as like a poop goblin or something.
Okay, a poop goblin. I like that. I always thought it was a giant pile of poop, but then you look closer and you see that that's not the case.
But Pizza the Hut, Jabba the Hutt, Poop the Hut. Oh, no, that was a Star Wars death.
Dude, sucks to be you.
Oh, well.
We're going to start calling you Mr. Star Wars Death, bro.
Yeah.
You're averaging one an episode at this point.
Hey, man.
My death algorithm, that's what my death algorithm says.
Mm-hmm.
I beat you to it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you drop? I don't remember.
I don't have a Star Wars death for you in this episode, bro.
We'll get to it in the death section, I guess.
Okay, let's do that. I'm excited about that already.
Yeah, the poop monster is hilarious.
It really is.
It's just like involuntarily, like weird, like farts are coming out of him in like weird places, and it's just like goop is leaking out of him, and yeah.
Oh, gross. You're right.
And then at some point, even as a poop goblin, he tries to hit on Lisa, which is like, like fair dues for trying, bro. But
shut up, and I'll give you elephant balls. And he's like, I love for that part.
Yeah, that is good. I think the other thing too about this, to kind of like, take it back to the high level for a second, is that it's in the world of being a dorky teenage nerd, that's kind of the ultimate outcome for the all powerful dickhead older brother. You know what I mean? Like there's no way to beat him because he's physically stronger than you. You can't ever seem to get one over on him. So to have her turn him into a disgusting, undesirable poop goblin is like the kind of ultimate revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally thought that he was going to stand up to him when Paxton kicks the door in and stuff. So it was interesting to have that not be the case, and Lisa ends up having to turn him into a shit beast.
Yeah, a shit beast. Nice.
That's perfect comeuppance, though. I love that he still had the same haircut.
Yeah.
As the poop goblin.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Speaking of little details, I love that. I love that after Lisa meets Gary's parents, like, Gary's dad just can't remember who he is. Like, I just love that little thread. Like, it's like, it's Gary, honey. Who the hell's Gary?
He really, Britt Leach is that actor's name. He really sells that too in the most beautiful way, dude. It's, I think one of the times, or there's multiple times, but one of them is when they're driving and he goes ripping by in the Ferrari and she's like, that's Gary. And he kind of sits there with this like blank look on his face and he's like, who's this Gary character? And it's so great and so funny, man.
Yeah.
He just nails it.
The whole, like, two guys are in love with the two girls after one evening was interesting. Very quintessential ugly duckling 80s kids become cool thing. You don't really, like, kiss the girl and be like, I love you. It doesn't really work like that. But
no, it doesn't. But that's what everybody...
Stand in the sprinklers, very John Hughes.
Totally. I mean, it was certainly the way John Hughes thought things worked because he kept, he was the one that pushed a lot of that stuff. Like, we get that in Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful, like a lot of those. There's a lot of triumphant nerdery in those films, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I dug it. I thought it I remember watching this and being like, yes,
they got the girls.
They got the checks. Awesome. If there was an internet, I would be posting about it.
What was the last scene where like she's now teaching a gym class or something? That confused me.
Well, I mean, she didn't just go away. I mean, well, I don't know. It was weird because she kind of says like, it's time for me to go. And then she kind of disappears, or you think that she disappears back into the ether, but she doesn't because she ends up being the gym teacher at their high school. So I don't know. I don't really get what that was all about.
I think it's just, I mean, I remember kind of feeling bad for Lisa, because she sort of, I don't know. It's like, her usefulness was, done, I guess, so it's like she seems kind of sad and she's like, all right, well, I'm going to go away, take care of you two. So I just felt like that little end scene was just like a little like, she's still around, like
causing some mischief.
Don't feel bad for Lisa.
Yeah, right.
She's doing what she does best, turning, awkward teenage boys into men or whatever, like.
Or a possibility of another adventure, maybe.
Right, exactly.
Which never happened.
Yeah, I think that's really all you're supposed to get from it. It's not like, I don't know if there's any deeper.
No.
Anywho.
Ballyhoo.
Let's move on to the NDR and wrap this baby.
Nuggets, deaths, ratings, dudes.
Let's do it. Chad, Mr. Nuggets, what do you got?
Mr. Nuggets. I thought I found a really good nugget, and then I found it in like a really obvious place. So this is a mediocre nugget that I like anyways.
Shoot.
It turns out that the greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray is actually something Paxton's dad would say to Paxton when he was hungover, and I liked that, and he ad-libbed it.
I read that as well. That was a good one. Okay. Benny, do you have any? I thought you indicated before that you might.
No, our good buddy Sly sniped one from C-Lab, but...
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Oh, that's good. We love when Sly, C-Lab's dad, snipes one from C-Lab.
You always do that, Dad.
You do. Okay, here's what I got. I mean, look, there's a ton of trivia nuggets out there, man. It's not that hard to find on this movie, but One in particular that jumped out at me was that Demi Moore and Robin Wright both auditioned for the role of Lisa.
I could see that.
I could see Demi Moore for sure. I mean, I think that as an adjunct nugget, Kelly LeBrock actually turned this movie down originally because she was riding horses. She was riding horses on the French Riviera and didn't want to stop. As you know,
as you do,
models tend to do, as models do. So I thought that was interesting. 1-2 punch.
There you go. I saw that this movie was called Cool Magic with Lisa in Germany, which I thought was pretty good.
I love how you just did that weird accent. That was great.
Yeah. You can totally picture some German guy just, hey, did you guys go see Cool Magic with Lisa?
Yeah, it's not unlike the Dutch guy in that Seinfeld episode, Vegetable Lasagna.
Vegetable lasagna, totally.
The guy in the airplane was like, that was my apple juice. I love it. What was it called again? Weird Magic with Lisa?
Cool Magic with Lisa. Like the dumbest name ever.
I know. You know what? I read that same thing, and I can't remember I couldn't remember where I read that. Like the different titles for each country. There was a whole list of them in the thing that I read.
Yeah, dog.
Do you have in front of you what some of the other ones were? Because they were all different.
Japan was like Electric Venus or something like that.
Right.
That sounds like
Electronic Venus. I kind of like Cool Magic with Lisa, personally.
I like that too. It's kind of weird. Okay, here's another one. In 2017, there was a sequel being banged around, and Elon Mitchell Smith was somehow involved, and it would have been, I guess, a remake, and they were looking at Channing Tatum to star in it.
What?
Yeah, which I think would have been super weird.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, right?
Alrighty.
All right.
All right. Mr. Hughes.
So on a slightly more serious note, Molly Ringwald wrote an essay in, I think it was the New Yorker in 2018. It's actually quite an interesting article. I remember reading it a few years back where she watched 16 Candles, I think it was, with her daughter, who was like 13 or 14 at the time, and talks about how some of the elements in the Hughes films were painful to watch because of the way that women were mistreated. And she went on to say that it was important to balance Hughes' brilliance with the ways his films had been morally flawed. And I thought that was interesting from one of the people that starred in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it is, like of the time, very, much what was discussed and shown and whatnot. But there was definitely some kind of unwoke elements in the film. And it's worth acknowledging her perspective, I think, because it's way more valid than some rando on Twitter being all out butthurt about this. And it's worth checking out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, I don't know. Conversations like that are weird because it's like that wokeness didn't exist then.
Yeah,
people didn't. I mean, it was just what it was. Like nobody really thought about it, Or I mean, I don't mean that nobody thought about it, but it was the weird accepted norm of the decade, or of the time, I guess. So
yeah, it's an interesting article though. I would recommend checking it out.
Okay, I will. All right, the dope jacket that Lisa wears, I think at the party, in the mall maybe, ended up getting sold to a pawn shop in Beverly Hills for $25,000, if you can believe that.
Like when this was coming out or something?
I think when it was over.
Yeah, right.
Which is crazy, man. I mean, it's not like this movie wasn't Ferris Bueller. Like that movie
it's a lot
was
of 80s money, dude.
Popular. Yeah, it is a lot of 80s money, for sure, man. And this is the last one I have, which is it's kind of a nugget. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool and nerdy. Is that the model of the computer that they use is a Memotech MTX 512 with an FDX add-on.
Yep.
That's the nerdiest thing I've heard all week. I love it.
Totally. The nerdiest thing I heard all week was when you started breaking down the palindrome thing as I was editing Tenet. That was the nerdiest thing I've heard this week so far.
Fair enough.
But that's a close second. I just like the name of the computer. Like those 80s computer names were great.
Yeah, I presume they used that one because it was a Brit computer and nobody would recognize it.
It was the what? A British?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I just like the names of the computers in the 80s were so great. They ranged from that to the Apple Lisa, to the Commodore 64. Like it was just, I don't know.
Hold on a minute.
Whoa. We have a discrepancy.
You almost sniped. I had look, man, I had a thing here. I was waiting to see if Chad said it.
I was thinking about it.
But he didn't. So I was proposing a new sort of way of sniping someone. I don't even know what you'd call it, like the posthumous snipe or something. Like,
ooh,
because you missed
an
obvious nugget that you should have had.
Should have dropped the Lisa nugget.
Lisa was named after the Apple Lisa computer.
Yeah, I'll take a death for that.
This is...
You kind of blew it for me, Kev, so thanks.
That's all right.
You kind of sniped me in the midst of sniping.
Maybe. I mean, if you had just not said anything and just plowed forward, it probably would have been fine, because I knew that. I just didn't add it in as a nugget because I was like, whatever. I have enough nuggets, but...
It's a cool nugget. I like it.
It is a good nugget, and I like the idea of the posthumous...
I just figured, Chad being the Apple fanboy that he is, wouldn't be able to resist that one.
I when they said her name was Lisa, I was like, I wonder if, and then I don't know. It turns out I'm not a real fanboy. I'm actually just a poser.
All right, let's move on to deaths. Okay.
So I snuck a Star Wars death in there.
Yeah, what was that?
Didn't even notice it. When was that?
I made the Captain Pike joke, but decided to say Star Wars to even make it worse.
Did you? Oh, I missed that.
Didn't that guy play Captain Pike in Star Wars? And nobody it just went right by everyone.
I heard the Captain Pike bit and got super pumped, and I think I missed the second bit.
I got so swept up in...
And he was Captain Pike, not Admiral Pike, too, which I was pretty stoked about, too.
I think I always get swept up in the glistening Bruce Greenwood shirtless. So that's why I didn't notice it, Ben.
I love it. I like that you snuck one under the radar. You should, if you sneak a Star Wars reference through and you don't get called out for it, I think you should live.
I agree, man.
I like the idea that anytime there's some mention or some, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, whatever. Anytime there's some mention of Bruce Greenwood, that Kev just gets all dreamy, starts hearing Close to You by the Carpenters.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking Dreamweaver, but yeah.
Dreamweaver, exactly.
Yeah. Any one of those,
This is Vaseline on the lens and things go a bit glossy.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Vaseline lens.
Yeah.
That's so great. All right, so here we go. So aside from that sneaky Star Wars, it's not a death, man. No way. I agree with Chad. You can't die if you sneak one in there. We don't notice.
Then we're dead.
You know what I mean? Oh, there you go.
Well, so be it.
That's how it should be. What do you think?
I'm just trying to die over here.
I'm trying to die over here. We got some controversy here on the show, folks.
I think there were a couple of deaths in this one, huh, Kev?
Oh, yeah. There was. Okay, so Ben ejected on stewed buttwad, confirming that it was stewed. I ejected during your story to listen to I Still Believe by Tim Cappello.
I like that death. That's one of my favorite deaths in the history of the show is you stopped listening to your show to listen to music on Spotify or something.
On YouTube, yeah. And then consequently, I got a death wish from Chad because of that. And it was absolutely warranted.
Mm.
Then, Chad, you had a Mad Max death.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Berryman death that I already forgot the details of. Ben broke the show with his Paxton impression that sent us on a cul-de-sac that was probably one of the ultimate derailments ever.
That's what started you ejecting from the show to listen to Tim Cappello.
There you go.
Fantasizing about Bill Clinton in that Lost Boys movie.
Yes, fantasizing about Bill Clinton in the Lost Boys movie, right, yes. Ben had an egregious Batman death, as usual.
Mm.
Chad had a vacation death.
And a Star Wars death.
Yep. I also had an ejection somewhere around that time as well. And then we've got this controversial, sneaky Star Wars death. Who died? I don't know. Ben snuck it in. We didn't notice.
It's quite a bloodbath this evening.
It really was. It really was a bloodbath. A lot going on. It's really as the show should be, right?
Yeah.
All right, ratings.
I'll go first. I have no history with this movie, so I'm going to not be super fun to be around. But let me pull up the old algorithm. I think this movie is better than Star Wars The Last Jedi, because fuck that movie, and I prefer Nothing But Trouble. So it's got a 4.3. I think I prefer the other John Hughes stuff, but hearing you guys talk about the magic of this and the sci-fi kind of like not taking itself too seriously-ness, like I'm a little bit warmer to it than I was coming into the show this evening.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
But I still am like such a huge fan of Breakfast Club and Bueller and stuff that I don't know. It's just a different kettle of fish. I think if I had a bit more nostalgia for it, I'd probably feel differently. But I enjoyed it. Well, it's cool to finally see it.
I'm glad to hear that, and I would like to say that I hope in the future this makes its way into your stable of loved Hughes movies.
Sure.
Because I really think I know you don't have the nostalgia behind you, but it's really just, it's great. And it's great like those movies, and I always wondered why it wasn't as popular as those movies, and I could never figure it out. You know, it always kind of got overshadowed, but it's a delightful movie. And I still love it. I'm going to give it a 9. I don't know why I'm not going to give it a 10, but I'm not. I'm going to give it a 9. It's fantastic. I love it. The anthem of my youth. That's it. Benny?
I mean, this was popular among the nerds, man. It was popular with me and my nerdy friends, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm going to echo that. It gets a 9. It's just, it's got some deep attachment to my tweens and, that part of my childhood. So it's 90% nostalgia for sure, Chad. But
yeah, I get it.
I still love it. I still think it's got some really great funny moments, and it's just lighthearted and fun, and yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I'm with you, man. I just, for me, it's not 90% nostalgia. It's maybe 40%. I think this is a legitimately great movie, and as I watched it, I don't know, whatever, 3-4 times since our first and second attempt to do this movie, and it's still super watchable. It totally holds up. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think had I watched this when I was a kid, I'd be right there with you.
Yeah, totally. Well, if you loved Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller, then if you had seen this when you were younger, it would probably be right up there with those other films in your brain.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, dog. Alrighty, well, that was fun. What are we doing next week, C-Lab? I'm excited.
Next week, we're going to kick the shit out of the 2014 Ninja Turtles movie that's got that dumbass from Transformers in it.
There you have it, folks. Wow. That was a death. Oh, my God. Well, there you have it, folks. Elegant and articulate as always.
Why the hell? Why are we doing that one?
Because we all discussed we wanted to watch something horrible and just absolutely hammer on. So,
all right.
I think it's like the podcast equivalent of getting your aggression out.
Oh, it's Tony Shalhoub plays Splinter in it. I think that's what got us started.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's how we got on that. But we also had a desire. I had introduced the idea of the desire to do something that we hammer on that none of us have really seen. So anyway, stay tuned for that, folks, because I'm sure it's going to be fun. Either that or you'll stop listening 5 minutes in. Anyway.
Dude, Johnny Knoxville does Leonardo's voice in this movie. It's going to be so bad.
Sorry, folks. We're going to do the movie right now.
Sorry. I just...
no, that's a total me move. I can't believe you're doing that. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
You're always ragging on me for pulling stunts like that.
I don't practice what I preach, man.
Hey, nobody does. It's the American way.
USA.
Thanks for joining us for this 1985 classic, folks. And stay tuned next week for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2018. Is that right? 2018?
2014.
2014 version, as there are many versions. And so long for now. Say bye, kids.
See ya.
Ciao.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. Thank you for joining us. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/98. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of great ways you can do it. You can support us on Patreon now, patreon.com/EBD podcast. And we have many tiers. None of them are very expensive. So if you want to support us and throw us a couple bucks.
Wow. Damn, your Cuckleberry one's pretty expensive.
Okay, the Cuckleberry one's really expensive, but the rest aren't. So if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can now. You can also rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast Nuggleberries. And leaving us a review, especially on iTunes, is hugely important, and it really helps us out. As always, folks, follow us on social media. We are on all social media channels using the handle @EBD Podcast. So join in on the conversation. We spend a lot of time on Instagram. Get in on it. Thanks so much for tuning in this week to Weird Science, and stay tuned next week for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Oh, now, Mrs.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop into it.